Monday, April 17th, and this is Geeknights. Tonight we rant and rant about tech support.
Let's do this.
So we had another awesome weekend. We had Katsu out here, played some new board games we've gotten and such.
Crazy new board games that take way too long to play.
Yeah, goddamn.
Goddamn.
Though we ran afoul of what I can only assume are punk kids. Now, we've lived here for a while, and we've never had any sort of incident with any of the people around here.
No trouble with the law.
Yeah. Now, our friend Katsu, you may know him from the forums, is that guy who hates everyone and everything that lives and breathes. Well, he parked his car in front of our house, and we hung out all weekend. And Saturday night, his car alarm starts going off. He looks out the window, doesn't see anything wrong, turns it off, and goes back to sleep. In the morning, he discovers that his car has been egged.
Now, my only logical conclusion can be random acts of punk kids.
I mean, for those of you who don't know where we live, and we live in Beacon, New York, and we have a nice big house, but right across the street from us is a giant car dealership full of cars, brand new nice ones. And our cars were both parked in our driveways with funny license plates. We both have vanity plates. And the area in the front of our house is extremely well lit and barren, and it's rather difficult to hide.
The only thing I can guess is that it was Easter, so they had eggs.
Yep.
And also, Katsu's car was from out of state, so they figured, out of state.
Yeah. Now, for those of you who don't know, also, eggs basically can ruin a car. So if you ever get the urge to egg someone's car, don't. Because one, if they catch you, they'll kill you. And two, you're just a damn punk kid.
Unless, of course, they're a fucker, in which case, egg their car all you want.
No. You never get revenge or any sort of thing like that in such an underhanded, stupid way. What was the movie quote? You don't mess with a man's car.
Well, you do it in a clever way. You see, you don't just egg their car. What you do is you set their car in a precarious position with uncracked eggs.
Much better is to just ignore them, or if they did something bad, call the police on them.
Well, depending on what they did. Sometimes...
If someone's just an idiot or a jerk, just let him be. I mean, we have some people we know who are idiots and jerks, and we just ignore them. Yeah,
we do. But,
sometimes we make fun of them when we're sitting around alone and we're bored, but that's about it.
Yeah, but if someone, came to fuck with us, but they fucked with us, but they didn't cross the line to breaking the law, we just fuck with them back,
You say that, but we've never done that.
Because no one's ever come to fuck with us, they know better.
Yeah, that's true. So
it's because they know.
In actual news, anyway, it's Tech Day, it's Monday. Actually, this Friday, we're driving out to Rochester for TorahCon, which, while we've been to many cons as Geeknights, this is the first con we are officially doing a panel at. It's going to be followed by KatsuCon and Otakon and all that sort of thing, but that's what we're doing.
So if you're anywhere within going distance to Rochester, New York, come see us.
Yep, we're putting on a show. Anyway, in the news, Patrick Moore, who is one of the co-founders...
Moore.
Yeah. Bloody Lupins.
Dennis Moore.
He's one of the co-founders of Greenpeace.
Dum.
And he has recently come out as being a staunch supporter of nuclear power. I find this incredible, wonderful, and fantastic. He has basically decried the bullshit that Greenpeace comes to stand for today, and he now talks real environmentalism, as in logical environmentalism.
Well, at least on one issue.
Yeah.
Who knows about all the rest? He's probably still batshit.
No, it doesn't seem to be. Most of his opinions seem very coherent now, which is a far cry from what Greenpeace seems to stand for these days.
Yeah, Greenpeace is just a tool that's bought and sold by crazy hippies and whatnot, so...
But basically, he wrote this long thing, and he's been a staunch advocate now of just nuclear power. He goes to great lengths to dispel many of the myths about nuclear power, namely that it's dangerous, or that it's inefficient, or that it's expensive.
Sounds like the people paying Greenpeace to hate nuclear power didn't pay up.
Well, I mean, really, nothing bothers me more than an environmentalist who is also against nuclear power. The coal power plants, one coal plant.
Nothing bothers you more than that? Nothing at all?
No, that's pretty much one of the biggest things that bothers me.
Mm-hmm.
It's at least tied with many of the other things that bother me.
There's a lot of things.
Yeah, but many things don't bother me that much because most things I just don't care about.
Yeah.
This is something I care about because, one, in the very least, nuclear power means that there'll be less pollution around me, and my electricity will be cheaper.
Yeah, I care about the cheaper electricity. Don't really so much care about pollution, whatever.
Well, that's because you lead a sedentary lifestyle sitting inside the house.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't. What's with you in the sedentary lifestyle? It's like the only words you know anymore.
You lead a sedentary lifestyle. What can I say?
You lead a sedentary lifestyle.
But I don't.
All right, you lead a sedimentary lifestyle.
Yes, as opposed to
An igneous
Yes.
lifestyle.
Okay. Yeah, if you all out there can't tell, we're tired today. I promise a better show tomorrow.
Geology jokes, a new low.
So anyway, nuclear power good. I could go into great detail about nuclear power and why I'm an advocate of it and why I really dislike people who are opponents of it, mostly because many of them are very ignorant of the benefits of nuclear power. But I'll save that for an entire Monday episode of the future.
Yeah, just so everyone knows, if you're one of those idiots, nuclear power not equal nuclear bomb.
Yes, nuclear power equal awesome.
Mm-hmm. All right, I got two little newses. The first news, only really crazy, smart technology people understand or care. MySQL, which is a database that everyone uses to run forums and things, and blogs and all that, we use it. It has a storage engine. Actually, the way MySQL is written is you can choose which storage engine you want, and there are all kinds of storage engines, but InnoDB or InnoBase is perhaps the most full-featured storage engine. It's what comes with MySQL nowadays, and it's what everyone uses because it's awesome, and it makes things work well. It works a lot better than, say, I don't know, a file. So I'm not going to explain the details of how it works and the advantages and whatnot because no one cares.
We'll do a Monday episode on that.
Yeah, it's a little bit, that's way too complicated, actually, for an episode of Geeknights. But anyway, Oracle bought InnoDB. Ooh.
Now, obviously, they're probably not going to want people to be using the thing they bought for free.
Well, you see, the thing is, InnoDB had there's a proprietary version of it, but the version MySQL is using is like a GPL version. The thing is, InnoDB, like the company, kind of worked on it, and now they're not going to do that anymore. So MySQL is like crap. Now we're stuck with this like stagnant, storage engine. So now they're getting SolidDB to help them out, and the company SolidDB is going to make a GPL version that can be plugged into MySQL so everyone can stop using InnoDB.
All right.
The situation here is that there are thousands and thousands of databases out there using InnoDB. If anyone ever finds a problem with InnoDB and, we need InnoDB to fix it and, no one can fix it, find a way to fix it or patch it or whatever, there could potentially be a trouble. Like, there's a very slim chance, or at least a probability, that every MySQL database in the world will either have to, go through a lot of trouble to switch storage engines, which is not easy or painless.
Yeah, though I do imagine that there would be a brisk market in people making things that would somewhat automate that.
Yeah. It's not something you do lightly. But anyway, Oracle's a fucker. Yeah, talk about being evil.
Yeah, I actually work with Oracle stuff quite a bit in my job, and I am not a fan.
Yeah, it's like they can't make better technology, so they just buy the technology that the other guy's using.
Oh, I don't care about that. The only thing I really care about is the fact that I don't think any of you out there who don't work for large corporations realize how much Oracle database costs.
Oh, yeah.
It's unfathomable how much money it costs. And it's really not significantly better than other offerings on the market.
It's not much better than MySQL, which is free.
Yeah.
So, I can buy Oracle for $1 bajillion, and it's a tiny bit better than free MySQL.
Hell, even DB2 isn't so bad.
Yeah. All right. So, also, there's just there's a whole bunch of news lately with like Apple Records, which is the Beatles record label, suing Apple Computer and all this bullshit.
This has been going on for a long, long time.
Yeah, who cares? Yeah. Whatever.
For anyone who doesn't know, the basics of it is simply that a long time ago, Apple Computer, comes into existence, and Apple Records already existed. And after a long fight, the agreement was basically that, all right, Apple Computer can be called Apple as long as they don't ever make a record label.
As long as they don't do anything with music.
Yeah, and Apple said, fine, we would never do anything with music, and fast forward to the years
iPod, iTunes,
yeah.
dun dun dun. Anyway, Who cares about that story? The story is that finally, after not doing it for a zillion years, the Beatles, someone's digitally remastering the Beatles music, and they're going to put it online for sale somewhere. Now, the only thing I want to point out here is that why is the big story that the 40-year-old music is finally going to be available online for purchase?
Well, one,
where no one's making a story out of the 1-year-old music, or perhaps not even the 5-year-old music. Nope, the big important music is the 40-year-old music.
Well, one, the Beatles were one of the most popular bands ever.
The point is that no one's been good enough since then to be better than they are. Basically, by the fact that this story is bigger than all the other stories, shows that a band with half of its members is dead.
Well, it could also be
is more popular than every
Scott,
band since.
It could also just be the fact that now this music is available digitally in a better format, even though it's old. And it's not news that other music is available that way because it's always been available that way.
Yeah, but that other music, no one's... there's a lot of music out there that is
I think you're
also
reading
not
way too much into
available
this.
digitally. The 40-year-old band is more popular than any band since then. That's the point.
Nah, maybe not. I mean, there are a lot of kids today who don't know or care about the Beatles.
Yeah, it's true, but those kids don't really count.
Oh, okay.
Because those kids don't pay for music.
Okay. I just think you're reading way too much into this. I don't think it's news at all.
Whatever. I just think it's interesting. Like, the old music is the one they make a big deal out of. It shows about the music industry sucking and such.
Yeah, the music industry sucks, but there's still a lot of good music out there.
Yeah, that but their 40-year-old music is like their ace in the hole. So you may or may not be aware there is an activity that British punk kids, not punks as in real punks, but punk kids partake in, known as happy slapping.
It's pathetically stupid.
Right, so basically the idea of happy slapping is you go down the street or in a public place or wherever, and you find someone who looks unsuspecting, and you slap them in the face, and then you run away or something.
Now, it slowly evolved until it's basically happy punch a guy in the face as hard as you can.
Yeah, that seems to be what happens pretty often is, they'll just walk down the street, hit someone and run, because they think it's funny, and it's like, this popular thing to do, and it's kind of stupid. So, there's a video I've linked to here, and it's hilarious. You see this punk kid who looks, like he's pretty tough, doesn't look too wussy, and he's all excited in British, and he's like, all right, I'm gonna be a happy slapper today, all right. The next guy who comes out of there, right? Then it looks like the camera moves over, it looks like a video arcade with a bunch of crane machines out front. And a guy walks out. And our happy slapper walks over and slaps him and runs. Now, the happy slapper goes off camera, but soon you realize he hasn't gone very far. And the guy who got slapped turns around, comes over, and punches him in the face. And he gets knocked out immediately. And it's quite satisfying, especially when the guy kicks him while he's on the ground.
Yep. I love the stream of British profanity that comes to me, it just sounded like, right.
Yeah, and then the guy's like, fuckhead, or something. It's not the greatest video quality, but the content more than makes up for it.
He lays the guy out.
Yeah, the guy's just like laying on the ground motionless, and he kicks him, and then he leaves.
That's about how I'd react if someone tried to happy slap me.
If someone slapped me, I'd kick them squat in the nuts.
In the nuts.
In the nuts.
In the nuts.
Right.
So, Jack Thompson.
Great.
Yeah.
When's the last time we mentioned Jack Thompson?
Last year, I think.
Yeah, but how many times did we mention him?
At least 3.
All right.
Now, at least 2 of the last times we mentioned him, I said, well, we'll probably never have anything funny to say about him again. He'll never be in the news again. He's in the news again.
Great.
He's suing the Florida Bar Association, claiming that they harassed him by investigating the fact that he's a total douche.
You can't sue a bunch of lawyers.
He sued the Florida Bar because they investigated him and found him to be very incompetent. They found that he has violated many of the standards and practices of the bar. If they haven't already, they're going to disbar him. But now he's suing, saying that this is all crap and that it's some sort of vendetta against him.
trying to sue lawyers, it's like...
But he is a lawyer.
I
It's
know,
a lawyer
but
suing a
you're
lawyer.
trying to sue the lawyer group, even though you're a lawyer. I mean...
Well, apparently he's sued them before.
It's like trying to burn down the firehouse if you're a fireman that no one likes.
But he sued them a while ago. I think it was settled out of court. It had something to do with the fact that they investigated him possibly being insane.
He is insane.
Yeah, and now we have proof.
I
I can't wait for this lawsuit to get resolved.
I hope the bar doesn't puss out and actually puts him in his place.
You know what? If they do, and he still gets to practice law, we'll just get more fodder for Geek Nights.
I think he'd be much more humorous if he couldn't be a lawyer anymore and he had no way to get money and he turned into a homeless bum and then gamers would go and he'd be like, $5, hit me in the face. Like those guys who sit in the street with a sign like, pay $1, then curse at me. You see those guys?
No, I've never seen those guys.
Oh, they're guys like that.
Okay.
They'll have a sign that'll say something like, pick on me, $5. Tell me off, $2.
I've seen a lot of guys who have the signs that they think are clever, like, I'm going by smokes and beer. At least I ain't shitting you.
Yep. Everyone's got a little shtick.
Yeah.
They live on that shtick. Anyway, if Jack Thompson became one of those guys, that would be a lot funnier.
I just can't believe he's back in the news. I couldn't make it a news. I just didn't feel right, so I made it my thing of the day because I just couldn't believe it.
I can believe it.
When will it end? This time, I'm going to say that
He is an old man. It will end in our lifetimes.
I bet I'll talk about Jack Thompson at least 2 more times within the next 2 years.
I can guarantee that.
So it's Tech Day, and today we decided we were going to talk about tech support. Mostly in terms of doing tech support for friends or family or other associated malcontents.
Yeah, we're not talking about the job of actually being a tech support guy because that's not a good job and we never had that job on purpose.
I almost did. I kind of did. I mean, technically, I was supposed to look at the problem queue when I worked for ITS at RIT.
Yeah.
But I never did. I usually just did other fun work.
Yep. Good idea.
Like sleep in my office or wander around campus.
Much safer that way.
Yeah, maybe snoop through a professor's email because they had trouble with their email.
Mm-hmm. Well, but, as intelligent computer guys we are, other people who aren't so computer intelligent often ask us, how do you do this? Help me with that, blah, 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 blah.
Now, it isn't just a problem for us. It's a problem that I think all computer geeks out there have run into. Your family decide they get a new computer and they bother you to help them with it. Your grandma calls you at 4 a.m. because her internet's broken. The lady who lives next door keeps asking you to fix your VCR.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it happens to a lot of people, in some professions more than others. I mean, if you're a generic, unskilled businessman, no one asks you any questions. But, if you're a tax lawyer, like my friend's dad, everyone always asks him around taxis and, questions and stuff. And my uncle's a dentist. So once in a while, someone will come up to him and be like, can you look at my teeth? And he always says, make an appointment at my office.
Yeah.
But when you're a computer guy, you don't, unless you're someone who's like a PC doctor who people call up and you go to fix computers, then no one can really call you because it's not your job. You're working for someone else.
But yet, people always seem to bother us about getting tech support.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's getting to be a real problem in the geek industry.
It's like, there are actual people who do that for a living. You can call them and ask them questions. You can go on the internet and ask questions, and someone will answer them for free.
I think the real problem I have is that many of the people who ask for help really get very kind of angry if I don't help them.
Yet they don't get angry at, my uncle if he says make an appointment.
Yeah, you don't get angry at the doctor friend who refuses to take your appendix out for you on his weekend.
Yeah, it's like, you want to get your appendix out, go to the hospital. There's a doctor there who's going to do it because he's getting paid.
I mean, the idea came up, and we decided to do the show because a while back, there's a lady who lives downstairs. There's a basement apartment on our house, and an old lady lives in it. And she said her DVD player didn't work, and she wanted me to go, fix it. And I wander into her house, and I'm poking around, and she just doesn't have, she doesn't have the remote control for the TV, so I can't...
Oh, yeah, she found it.
Oh, she did?
Yeah.
Oh. So I can't set up the input on the TV, so I can't make the DVD player work. And she's mad because I can't help her, and I'm kind of ticked because I was going to go somewhere, and instead I'm roped into helping someone do something that I really don't care about. And then I can't even do it because I don't have the equipment, and they can't give it to me. People seem to just forget that computers are just like any other profession, and it's my job. When I'm not doing my job, I often don't want to be doing my job.
Yeah, the problem is I don't do my job. So.
Yeah.
But my job isn't helping other people with computers. It's making computers do things they don't already do. That's what I do. I have the knowledge and ability to help you with computer problems because I have to know those things in order to make computers do things they don't already do.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of times we love to just help someone with a computer, help someone with technology on their own. The only problem comes is that a lot of people seem to expect that no matter what, like at any time.
Or a lot of people make it very difficult to help them.
That's probably the worst one. I mean, if someone asks me, like, on AIM, my video card doesn't work, blah, 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 what do I do? I'll say, oh, do this.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't do what I told them, and then they bother me again, that's not cool.
Yeah, if you don't like the answer I give you, I got 2 words, tough shit. The worst is, I don't like to just tell people things or do things for people. I like to make sure that they know what I'm doing for them.
Yeah, Scott,
so
we're all aware of that.
Yeah. I want to make sure you learn how to fish, teach a man to fish and all that.
Well,
the problem is...
teach a man to build a fire, and he's warm for a few days. Set a man on fire, and he's warm for the rest of his life.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
No, but when I go up to you and you say, man, I really wish I had some fish, I go, here, I'll show you how to catch them. And if I try to hand you the rod and you just refuse to take hold of it and demand that I catch fish for you, I'm just going to push you in the fucking lake. Yeah. And then if you're indignant, fuck you. I'm going to piss on you while you're down there.
What? Okay.
I don't know. I just tried to think of something you would do to someone while you're standing on a dock and they're swimming in the lake crying for help and you want to kind of put them down even more.
Just laugh.
Yeah, laughing's good.
And then when they try to climb back up into the dock, push them off. And then laugh again. Repeat ad infinitum.
Yeah. So... let's see, what kind of things make me pissed off at people when I try to give them tech support?
Well, the main thing is that most people will... well, not most people, because actually, at least none of our friends seem to do this. It's mostly relatives and people who are, like, business acquaintances who do this to us. But, like, someone will say, hey, I'm having trouble with my computer. Can you help me? And I'll say, yeah, sure, what's wrong? And they'll say something so vague, like, well, the internet doesn't work.
Yeah, if you cannot describe to me the problem specifically enough, I can't help you.
Now, you don't have to be a technologist. You don't have to say, like, yeah, well, UDP is being blocked on this port and blah, 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 but I know my blah, 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 blah.
Because if you know that already, you probably don't need my help and you're smart enough to find the answer on Google.
Well, I mean, or either that or they actually have a difficult problem and my expertise might be able to help them.
Yeah, they might.
The problem is when people... it's like it's for some reason people treat computers completely differently the way they treat anything else. If some guy has a toaster and toast is stuck in it, he sticks a fork in there and just digs it out. But if his computer stops working, he doesn't actually look at the screen and read the error message or look and see if it's actually plugged in. He just immediately throws his hands in the air, and then he comes to us and says, hey, my computer doesn't work. It's obviously not my problem. I didn't cause this.
Mm-hmm. I think it's largely something caused by AOL and Microsoft and Dell, is that for so long, somehow computers got this air of difficulty around them, which I can understand from the DOS days when they were kind of difficult to use. And
even now, I mean, computers are complex devices, and I think the problem is just that people try to treat them as though they're just a dumb appliance. It should just do what I want it to do. But it's a multi-purpose device. It can do anything, like Zombocom.
Yes, anything is possible, which is why it's not easy to use something that, it's the old tool versus device thing, I learned about this in some tech class at some point in RIT.
Yeah, we talked about that in one of our tech classes, too.
It's like a tool is something you have to, know how to use, and there are different ways to use it, and it's a complex thing. A device is like you push a button and something happens, Like you look at like a saw. You don't just push the button on the saw and then the wood is cut. You have to know how to use the saw properly and all that stuff.
Now, I could make a computer that was a device. In fact, I did for IBM where I work. I made hundreds and hundreds of them. I could make a computer that is so simple and it can't break and it just has there's a big desktop with 5 buttons. There's the email button and there's the game button and there's the web browser button. And it'll always work perfectly. Problem is, you can't do anything other than the buttons I already put in.
Mm-hmm. By making something easier, I'll explain this after. There's a difference between easy to learn and easy to use.
Yep. VI is a good example in that one.
Yeah, but the easier to use and easier to learn you make something, the easier to learn you make something, the less powerful it is It's just a law of the universe. I mean, the easiest thing to use, to learn to use in the world is one button. Guess what? Something with one button can only do one thing. At most, it can do a few things if you learn Morse code, but then it's no longer easy to learn.
It's like that easy button they sell from whatever office store. You hit the button and it says, that was easy.
Yeah. But no, easy to learn and easy to use are two different things. Easy to learn means if you know nothing about it, you can figure out how it works and how to use it in a short amount of time, no matter how smart you are. Like a toaster. It's not hard to learn a toaster. There's like
you'd be surprised how many people have been electrocuted by shoving metal objects into toasters while they were plugged in.
Yeah, I know. But the point is you get the simple toaster. You put bread in the top and you push the thing down. It's relatively easy to learn. It only has one thing you really do, and it's kind of obvious the bread goes in the top. 90% of people will get it right.
I just picture like a guy laying there dead. There's half of a baby shoved into one side. There's like a loaf of bread squished in, still in its package on the other side. It's plugged into a 220 line, and it's on fire.
And he's in the shower. But easy to use is something completely different. Something can be hard as hell to learn, but at the same time, easy as hell to use.
Yep, like VI.
VI, if you don't know, is, well, there's also VIM, which is what people who are sane use.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's basically the same thing. It's a text editor for the computer. It essentially does the same thing Notepad does.
It's just, it's very, for people who aren't familiar with Linux, it's very obtuse.
Yeah, the way it works is it works on keyboard commands, and it starts off in command mode. It has two modes, command mode and
well,
edit mode.
we can just simplify this because anyone who knows what we're talking about knows, and if they don't care.
Yeah, maybe we could do a show on VI.
We could,
Yeah,
actually.
that's a good show.
Here, for those of you who don't know what VI is, I'll say this. If you want to save the thing you're typing and exit the program, you hit Escape, Shift, : W, Q, Enter.
Yep. There's no way for you to learn that just by playing with it. It's non-obvious, very non-obvious.
However, it's very easy to use once you know it.
Once you know it, you can do crazy stuff in VI. I can delete every other line in the file that contains the word the and paste them all at the end of the file by pushing 3 buttons. If you want to do that in Notepad, you have to sit there for hours and hours cutting, pasting. It's hard to do things in Notepad, but it's very easy to figure out how to do them. In VI, it's very easy to do things, but it's hard to figure out how to do them.
Now, I guess to not stray too off topic, the advice I guess we have for people who are going to ask techs like us for computer help. Now, this doesn't apply to people we will help because we want to help. I mean, we have a lot of fun actually teaching people to do certain kinds of things.
Especially when they want to learn.
Yeah, if someone comes up to me I want to learn how to use Linux, that's awesome, and I'll sit there for an hour and show them how to use Linux.
Yep.
But we're directing this mostly at people who ask techies for help with their problems and don't do due diligence. This is how to do your due diligence so other techies, because all techies seem to want the same thing, don't cry or hit you.
Number 1, vocabulary.
If you don't know what your problem is and you can't describe the problem, you really can't blame the techie when they have no idea what you're talking about.
My grandma is the worst one with this because I say close the window and she doesn't know what a window is and she doesn't know how to close it or what closing means.
Or they'll call you and say the kajigger's broken.
Yeah, so that leaves me with the word the, which basically means if I can't communicate with you, I can't help you. You're beyond help, go away.
Now, this isn't saying that you have to know the jargon. It's just that you have to have some sort of cognitive understanding of something about your problem.
You don't need to know what UDP means for me to help you, but you do need to know what window means and what close means and yet, what a menu is and all those sorts of... There's a level that you have to reach that's the minimum requirement. You can know more than that and it's helpful. You don't have to know what SATA is for me to help you, though. But you do have to know what the mouse is.
Yep. Now, 2, know what your problem actually is. Now, I'm not saying know, because if you know what the problem is, you can fix it. But know how to describe your problem. It ties in very much with vocabulary. If your screen is black and you just sit there and stare at it and then call me and say, my computer's broken, I can't help you. If you call me and say, all right, I was using my computer and suddenly it turned off, the light's not on, when I hit the button it doesn't turn back on, the cable is plugged in, what do I do? That's a good question.
Mm-hmm. It shows that you tried to do something. I mean... Everyone, there are people with problem-solving skills and people without problem-solving skills. The thing is, even if you have problem-solving skills, if you don't have knowledge about the thing you're trying to, solve the problem of, you're not going to come up with a solution. Like, if there's a problem with my car, I can kind of figure it out, but I don't have enough knowledge about the inner workings of the car to be right all the time.
Yep.
Or to fix it.
However, I mean, problem-solving skills has nothing to do with your technological prowess.
Nope.
If you have problem-solving skills, even if you don't have the knowledge to solve the problem at hand, you have the ability to at least narrow down the problem and then be able to explain to someone what you think the problem is.
And describe the problem. Describing the problem is key.
Like my car. My car broke down while I was driving to a convention in Indiana, in the middle of nowhere in Indiana, and I ended up going up into Michigan to a mechanic. And I knew jack all about cars back then. I know slightly more now. And I pulled in, and the mechanic's like, "What's wrong with your car?" And I had no idea what was wrong with it, but I was able to tell him, well, whenever I'm idling under 2,000 RPM, it makes a rattling noise. And the check engine light came on about 40 miles ago, and there's some knocking, a little bit. At least I think it's knocking. And I explained everything I could, and I gave him as much information as I could. And then he was like, "Oh, it sounds like this," and then he went to work. And it probably saved me several $100s worth of labor of him sitting there trying to figure out what my problem was.
Yeah, this is why cars have that cool diagnostic thing where they plug the little computer in and it tells them what's wrong with the car. But that's not perfect. And computers don't have such a thing.
Though, you know what computers do have, and this ties in very well? Error messages. Don't
read them.
If nothing else, if you have a problem with your computer and you're going to ask someone like us for help, write down whatever the computer told you when the thing broke. Because whatever it told you was probably very relevant to the problem at hand.
That's the worst thing, is people who don't read the screen. It's like people will come to me with like what the error message said sometimes, and they'll be like, "The error message said DVD drive can't read the DVD drive," and I'll be like, "Oh, what do you think that means?" And they'll be like, well, what did it say? You can't read the DVD drive. So what's wrong with your computer? The DVD's broken? Yes. Yes, that's what it said. Why did you have to call me to ask me what something is? Are you illiterate? You needed me to read it for you?
Now, honestly,
read.
I blame mostly the fact that many computer programs and many things on the internet, and just many things, especially made for people who don't know much about computers, are set up where they'll give you a lot of text that you can ignore and still use the program. So people are so used to just clicking OK on anything no matter what and never actually reading.
Mm-hmm.
The worst are like some applications. Lotus Notes is notorious for this. When I upgraded Lotus Notes at work, I had to upgrade from version 6 to version 7. It warned me before I started the installer that at several points an error message would pop up and I should just click OK and let it continue. Now, I read that and I understood, all right, those errors must be spurious, something's broken, whatever. But that happens often enough where people get used to ignoring errors because they don't think they're useful.
Mm-hmm. At the same point, why the hell didn't you just make it so those errors didn't show up? What's wrong with you?
No, don't ask me. Lotus Notes is I can't describe to you the depths of my hatred for Lotus Notes.
Yeah, it's not, what we're saying here is not 100% the fault of the user. Sometimes people who write shitty software deserve just as much of a beating for encouraging the shitty user.
Yes, I mean, case in point, PC load letter?
Yeah. If you make a car that explodes and then someone drives it poorly and it explodes, it's not just the poor driver at fault.
But even in that case, write down whatever cryptic bullshit the computer told you and give it to a techie. They'll at least look on Google and try to figure it out.
Yeah, you can look on Google before you come and ask us.
Yes, that is number 3. Google.
If you have looked on Google for your answer before coming to me, I am 1,000 times more likely to help you.
Yes, especially since the first thing I do when someone comes to me is look on Google.
Yeah, what do you think? We freaking know everything about computers? Well, no, we only know 99% of things about computers.
Yeah,
and that means that your problem, we don't know the answer. Google's where we go.
There are some people at my job, my work, because I'm good at what I do, and the problem is, I don't know a lot about certain subjects, but people come to me about every technological subject on the earth all the time because I have this reputation in my office for being like the guy who knows everything. And all I do, quite literally, so if any of my coworkers are listening, I've just revealed my secret. When someone asks me something, I kind of shrug it off, and then I Google it, and then I come right back a minute later with the answer.
Yeah.
That's all I do.
That's it.
I had a Cisco switch and it did something weird. It gave an error message. I typed the error message into Google and I found the answer, and then I went back and said, oh, and then everyone thought I was a Cisco expert.
It's like there's this library in a town, and the library has all the answers to everyone's questions in the whole universe, but there's only one literate guy in the whole town. And everyone just comes to the literate guy, and he goes into the library and finds the answer. You know what? If you learn to fucking read, you can go in the library yourself and save that literate guy a lot of trouble so he can get on with his life.
Now, by the same token, if a problem is obtuse or complex enough, you'll Google and you'll find the answer, but the answer won't help you because it's something archaic or difficult to understand or
you actually have to modify. I mean, there's most problems, some guy will be like, this is my problem, and then this is how I solved it. And if you were smart, you would realize that doing exactly that won't work exactly in your situation. You have to modify that procedure for solving your problem in some way.
But even in that case, if you come to someone like us and you say, yeah, I looked on Google and it said to do this, but I wasn't sure, so I wanted to ask you, that's fine.
Yeah, like if you come to me with a procedure and your problem, and then all you need me to do is modify that procedure to your specific situation, that's terrific. I'll do that.
Now, if you searched MSN, you can go to hell.
Yeah.
Just Google.
If you're searching MSN anyway, then you're the kind of person who is not probably going to be getting help.
Now, I would have said our fourth thing is read the manual. However, I will say that the vast majority of documentation for technological things out there these days is pathetic.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't fault you for not reading the manual.
I don't fault you for not reading the manual. I do fault you for not attempting to find or read the manual.
Yeah, I mean, I have my parents gave this to me, and they paid like $3,000 or $4,000 for it in the 80s. But it's a VHS camcorder. Takes freaking giant lead acid batteries. The thing it hurts my shoulder to use. It's this giant camcorder, and it came with like a 60-page book that goes into great detail every single bit of this camcorder. And then in the back, there's like 10 pages worth of troubleshooting. And it's a full-on expert system. If this is the problem, or if you're having this problem, then answer this list of questions, and at the end, we'll tell you exactly what's wrong. And people don't write manuals like that anymore. It's really kind of sad.
No, they write manuals to be shitty. That way, see, it boggles my mind is that companies do everything in their power to reduce the number of people that call tech support. Because the more people that call tech support, especially under warranty, which is when most people call tech support, costs them money. It's basically this money sinkhole that they have to have in order to not piss off all their customers and go out of business. But at the same time, they make things so shitty in the first place that everyone has to call tech support. You know what? If you made your stuff less shitty and had better manuals and all that, you would save more money on tech support than by having, getting Indians to do it and then having long on-hold lines.
Now, I have a lot of theories about that, actually, especially now that, because I put technical writing and all that on my resume. I actually have written quite a body of documentation in my day. And it seems to me that actual good technical writers are few and far between and demand fairly high salaries. So most people don't seem to see the value in hiring these people to just write a manual for a program. Oh, we'll make the intern write the manual. Why would we hire someone at $80,000 a year just to write a freaking book? Blah, blah, blah.
Oh, let's see if we hire one guy for $80,000 a year. He can write all the manuals for all our products and then decrease our tech support costs by millions. Oh, the businessmen are stupid, and businessmen shouldn't make technology decisions ever. But they should make business decisions, because technology people can't make business decisions for shit.
Now, my other theory about this, well, I shouldn't say the word theory because Pete will get pissed, but I'm going to say the word theory anyway. Ha ha! Colloquialisms.
What about your hypothesis?
Yeah, my conjecture.
Yeah.
My supposition.
Conclusion.
All right. I've noticed, and I noticed it today because I can't use any names, but I'm involved in a project right now. And the guy who's in charge of the routers for the project, like the Cisco routers, sends me an email, and the first word in it is irregardless, which is not a fucking word.
No, it is not.
I guess technically it is a derived word. However, it does not mean what you think it means.
I don't think that means what you think it means.
2, it was not capitalized, and 3, there was no comma after it. And then he pissed broken grammar into my screen. And then at the end, like, it was just he said something, and then there was a forwarded message from a tech from Cisco. This is like Cisco's external account support. This is the face of Cisco talking to me. And it was even worse.
Inconceivable.
I've noticed this in almost all my professional dealings out there in the corporate world, is that the vast majority of people, even people in high-level positions, vice presidents, CEOs, they can't communicate. They can't write for shit. They don't know how to spell. They don't know grammar. They can't communicate their ideas effectively. If they have a speech to give, someone writes it for them. I don't know. It bothers me. I really can't express to my boss and some of the people just how stupid some of the other people I deal with are.
Yeah, I think we've gone on long enough about how people can't communicate their problems to us. But what's even worse, and sometimes, is when I tell you the solution and then you fail to do what I told you.
Oh, God, I have a lot of non-technical stories about that in my old club. But.
Yeah. But I mean, when I tell you to do X, Y, and Z, and then you don't like the answer, or you don't listen to me in some way, or you misinterpret what I told you.
No, it's not like you screwed up. Like, if we tell you to recompile your kernel and you do it wrong, or, I mean, that's fine, whatever, we should have said more detail, or it was a difficult thing. But if we tell you to recompile the kernel and you say, what? Fuck that, I shouldn't have to recompile my kernel.
Well, that's what you're going to have to do, like it or not.
People just don't like getting bad answers. Oh, man, there's so many work anecdotes that I really can't relate.
Yeah. It's so weird, though, because, like, if you go to a mechanic and he says, you need a new transmission, right? Sometimes they might be nutty and try to go to a different mechanic and get told the same thing.
It's like the crazy people who, like, their kid has a flu or something, or a cold, and they go to the doctor, like, he has pneumonia, and the doctor says, he has a cold, go home. And then, I want a second opinion. They go to another doctor, and that other doctor says, he has a cold.
Yep. But then, eventually those people seem to suck it up and, pay the mechanic to get a new transmission because they have to. But when people have a computer problem and I tell them you're going to have to, back up all your files and then format your drive and whatever, no matter how many times you tell them, they won't do it. They'll just suffer with their shit spyware or whatever they've got. I'm like, fine, you want it that way? If I have it that way. But then they come back and they'll complain their computer's slow and shitty. And I'll be like, what did I tell you before? Go away or I'll kill you.
I mean, I guess the moral of the story is just that we're technologists and we enjoy helping people, but computers aren't special. I mean, your car needs oil changes and regular maintenance, and you either know how to do it yourself or you take it to someone and pay him money to do it for you. Your computer's no different. You either have to know how to do the maintenance on it or pay someone to do it for you.
Yep. Those are pretty much your choices. And you should be glad that, mechanics don't work on cars for free, but computer people out there, some of them will help you for free because it's actually less labor intensive to work on a computer than to work on a car, and you don't usually need money for parts all the time. It's mostly software, which is mostly free. So, you should be very, very thankful that someone will even talk to you for no money whatsoever when it comes to a problem with your computer, instead of just saying, give me money or leave, which is what the mechanic will tell you for your car.
Yep. So actually, there was a mechanic friend of my dad's who did a brake job on my car for free.
Awesome.
He was an awesome dude.
Yeah. Did he actually give you brake pads and everything for free?
I think I bought all the parts, but he did all the labor, and he had some of the parts laying around. And
all right, yeah. But I mean,
you
should be so thankful that you should be like kissing feet, and if you fail to communicate.
Okay, you just want people to kiss your feet, that's all.
No, not really. Actually, I don't want you to kiss my feet, but that's kind of ew. But you should get on your hands and knees, that's good.
Okay.
Yeah. But seriously.
No, the moral is just that if you're going to ask a computer geek for help, at least respect the fact that you're going to them because they have a skill that you don't have, and they're not like conceited, and they don't want you to be angry. They want to help you, usually. But don't take them for granted, because eventually they'll get sick of you and they won't help you anymore otherwise.
Yeah, you have to show the respect and put in the effort, and whatever they tell you, accept it as like the word of God. I
made the mistake when I was in high school very often because people knew I was the computer guy, and I'd always make promises, like someone would say, oh, I'm going to build a new computer, and I'd say, oh, tell you what, I'll tell you what parts to buy, you order them, and then I'll put it together for you. And I'd say that all the time because it was just like trivial to me, and I like messing around with computery bits.
Mm-hmm.
But then I actually had to do it, and I ended up being on the hook because I'd build a computer for someone, then a week later it would break, and they'd blame me, and I have to explain to them that no, it's because you're stupid. Don't ever talk to me again. I hate you.
Mm-hmm. And then they don't believe you, of course, because no one ever... That's the thing. In general, forget tech support. If someone doesn't blame themselves when something is their fault, and guess what? If there's a problem in your life, 90% of the time it's your fault.
No, I don't know about 90%. I mean, it really depends on who you are and where you live. If you're living in Sudan or Darfur right now, it's probably not your fault.
Well, no, because that's only one problem in your life. It's just a very big problem. The other 90% of the problems in your life are your fault. They're just all very small problems that don't mean anything because you have this one giant problem.
I live in a horrible genocidal place, and I didn't floss yesterday.
Exactly. The not flossing is your fault.
No, because floss wasn't available.
It's
Maybe
true.
you wanted to floss.
You could have made do.
With what? Some crap?
A string.
You don't have a string. You're
Your
in
shoelace.
Darfur.
I don't freaking know.
They'd kill to have a shoelace.
Yeah, probably. Anyway, the point is that when someone doesn't blame themselves for problems that are caused by their own doing or their lack of ability
Yeah,
or whatever,
barring the fact that you might not realize it was your fault. As long as you accept it when someone shows that it was your fault.
don't go denying it was your fault and continuing to blame it on someone despite, I don't know, a mountain of evidence.
Yeah, now this leads into number, 5? We're not really numbering these
Who
very well.
cares?
And this is the big one. Don't lie. If you say, my RAM stopped working after I put it in a new computer, and I ask, did you put on wool socks and walk across the room with it in your hands? And you did that? Don't say no.
Because you did, didn't you?
Scott.
Yeah, not me, but the other Scott.
Our friend Scott Johnson, we always rag on him for this because it was such a coincidence that one day he happened to just walk across a floor in wool socks with some ram sticks in his hand.
He was walking across a carpeted floor wearing wool socks and a sweater and his permanent sweater, carrying RAM in his hand. What the hell? And everyone in the room was like, oh my God, what are you doing? Of course, that RAM is probably worth 2 cents now.
Yeah.
Even if it still worked.
And the RAM actually did work fine. But it would amaze you how often I have to go, like, one, because I have those Linux terminals at work, and like one will be broken. Or worse, I have them set up so if you try to open the case, this is a good example. If you try to physically open the case, which is locked, by the way, it sets off an alarm in the CMOS, and the computer will now not boot. In fact, it says on the screen, warning, computer has been tampered with. And you have to enter a code to unlock it, right?
Awesome.
So I'll get a call to someone's office or like a place in the manufacturing floor, and they'll be like, yeah, the computer's asking for a password. At which point I say, well, I'll be down in a minute. And
really?
And I go down.
Oh, really?
And I see the computer, and I say, it says the computer's been tampered with. And they say, I don't know. And I say, that can only happen if someone tries to open the computer. Did you try to open the computer? No. Really? Because you're the only one who has access to this room. No one else could have done it, and it can't go off by itself.
You opened it.
Yeah.
Say you opened it.
But they won't. I've had conversations just like that where they won't admit it, even though I know they did it. I have a log of the time it went off. I could look at the badge lock and find out when they were in the room. I can prove that it was them, but they won't admit that they did it. If they just...
Here's a videotape of you opening it. Did you open it? No.
It's like people say, like, I saved the file.
That's not me. It's not you.
I didn't...
Oh, well, that's the person who came into this room with the lock, so they're the only employee here. You must not be an employee here if that's not you.
You know, it's the people who say, I didn't delete that file, and then, yeah, you deleted it. Don't lie. If you lie, it'll only make our job harder.
No, it'll make your life suckier because I'll just kick you and leave.
Well, all right, let me put it this way. If you lie to a tech guy who's trying to help you, either one, he won't be able to solve your problem because he doesn't have all the information. Or two, he's going to know you're lying, and he might not say anything, but he knows.
Oh, you didn't delete that file, huh? Deletes accounting information. I didn't delete that file either. Deletes all your entire MP3 collection in low-level formats to drive 3 times. I didn't erase your hard drive.
That's only if you're dealing with the BAFA.
That's fine.
I guess a closing bit. If you don't know what the BAFA is, we should do a show on that, actually.
A whole show?
I could do a whole show on that. I remember when I discovered that when I was young and virile and didn't know much about computers, and it was the funniest thing I'd ever seen.
Maybe we should close the show with a little pebcac.
Little pebcac?
Yeah. For anyone who doesn't know, there's a saying that computer guys have called pebcac. Pebkac. And what it means is the problem exists between the keyboard and the chair. So most of the time when there's a problem with the computer, the problem is pebcac. And don't be pebcac.
Yeah, just do your due diligence. Try to solve your own problem. At least try a little. Try. Read the message, Google, and if you still can't solve it, ask someone and tell them everything you can, and they'll probably help you.
Think with that brain thing you have in your skull between your ears somewhere, that use it. At least it can do stuff.
Like RIT.
It might not be able to do much, but it can do something.
RIT amazed me the most because there would be a professor who, a brilliant professor he's a doctor. He has his doctorate. He's written countless papers. He's participated in research. He's lauded around the world. And yet, his computer pops up a message saying that drive C is low on space, and he can't figure out what the hell that means, and he freaks out, and then he calls me. It's like people have skills, and then when they're faced with a computer, they forget that they have all those skills, and they just assume that there's nothing they can do, and there's nothing they can fix.
I mean, it's like, sure, let's say a guy's a doctor of mathematics, right? He still knows how to read. Reading and writing are essential life skills. No matter what your profession is, you know how to read and write.
Reading is fundamental.
The guy who is, the English doctor, he's a professor of literature. He knows how to do math. Basic math, he knows, because those are essential life skills.
I will point out that many of the people I know who I was talking about how they don't know grammar and they can't write or communicate, they also can't do basic math without a calculator.
Right. Anyway, we're talking about the professors here. We're not talking about the people who are completely incompetent. Computers are a basic life skill. If you don't know the minimum about your computers, you're like an illiterate person. You're like someone who can't read or write. Seriously, if you can't use a computer, basic functions, visit a website, send an email, etc., you're an illiterate person as far as this world is concerned. You better catch up, or you're going to be some unemployed bum who's disrespected and not cared for.
Now, that's directed mostly at, I guess, our listeners, because, there are people who were born before this whole computer thing.
No, if someone's listening to us, that means they know what a podcast is and how to get it.
That was the point I was just about to make.
Yeah.
Because anyone who's listening, anyone who falls into the categories of people who really can get away with not knowing about computers is not listening to Geeknights.
Mm-hmm. Or is unable to listen to Geeknights.
Or is listening because they're a relative or something.
Oh, yeah, that's true. If anyone's listening to this because someone else downloaded it and played it for you and you have no idea what the hell a podcast is, you might be one of these people we're talking about who's illiterate. I mean, if you're illiterate, remember The Simpsons, Krusty the Clown was illiterate and he felt real bad about it because it's not a good thing? If you're computer illiterate, you should feel just as bad as if you were book illiterate. I'm not even joking. This is dead serious. You should feel just as bad because it is just as bad, perhaps worse. Well, I guess one begets the other because if you can't read a language, then you can't read the computer screen. But you get the point.
Anyway, tomorrow is gaming day.
Woohoo!
And the next day is anime day.
Woohoo!
I was going to say what we're going to do, and then I realized I don't know what we're going to do tomorrow.
No, we have no idea. Do we have something pre-recorded or not?
I think we used it.
No, I thought we had an extra one.
We might have one extra. I think we have an extra Tuesday, Wednesday. And
we'll have to go check.
Yeah.
We might do something new.
Yeah, we might do that Fury of Dracula game.
Yep.
That game is fantastic.
That's a good game.
And of course, once again, we're going to be appearing live and in person at TorahCon in Rochester this weekend.
Mm-hmm. Which is April what?
22nd? I usually have no idea what day it is.
Yeah,
honestly.
2006. Don't listen to this in 2007 and think we're gonna appear magically and then go somewhere and that'd be awesome. Yeah, don't listen. I was about to say don't listen to this in 2005 and then show up next year. But
yeah,
it can't happen.
We're kind of tired now.
All right.
Yeah. And that was Geeknights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for our opening theme.
Be sure to visit our website at www.frontrowcrew.com. If you like our podcasts, you'll love our forums. Make sure you visit them. You can send your email feedback to geeknights@gmail.com. And if you want, you can leave us a voicemail at 206-333-1537.
Geek Nights airs every weeknight, Monday through Thursday.
Geeknights is recorded with absolutely no studio and no audience. But unlike those other talk shows, it's actually recorded at night.